Hello, this is Tim Lancia, and I am doing the news app. um, this one was much easier to thankfully, especially 'cause it's on Expo, or at least I did it on Expo because much prefer Expo. So here, just kind of showing you that I finished it in the Handlebar Labs. Now let's look at some code. So let's just kind of go over the index. A lot of just kind of you have your imports, some styles. A lot of it is styling. That'll kind of just brush over because we've already kind of went over that. We have these article array where just all the articles are passed into, and we have loading. If it's true, then there's a loading circle. So when component didn't mount, it runs this function request top headlines. Basically, what it's doing is it's sending a query to the client. I'll kind of go over that a little bit more, and we're getting the top headlines, or kind of passing in this variable called technology, which is the kind of category that we wanted, and just if there's a response, then we can print that response, and we say print the loading status, and then we pass in those articles into that array, and we just have that catch. Render footer is just for the activity indicator for the loading, just to kind of set the size to large. And then we just have like our styles and how we want it to look. We specifically have this article row, which is a component that I will now look at, which will be passing in all the items from that item. So all the props from that item we're passing in to article row. So yeah, a lot of styling here. This is kind of just how we want the rows to look. We have that, and we also have the modal in this section as well. So we kind of have how the modal is a touchable opacity, and we have this kind of top section that you can touch, and it'll go back to that original screen, get rid of that modal. And then we have this embedded web view, which is another component that I'll talk about a little bit later. And again, just more styling of how we want it to look. Because it started at 0, we made it start at 1, and then we just kind of have this date stuff, so it says like 6 hours ago, 2 hours ago, instead of the exact date. All right, embedded web view, more styling, of course. And we're importing web view, which we added, and basically we just passed in a URL. We just passed in this URL, and then the embedded web view will kind of load all the things. So basically just styling, calling that web view, it's passing the stuff, and then it's making a sort of mini page on that modal. Client is just where we kind of do all of our API stuff. So we have where we're getting it and my API key, and we're passing this REST link into this Apollo client as a REST link, so we know it's a REST API call. Then we have the cache. And here, the last thing, we just have the queries. So basically, this is just what's being passed into the GraphQL. So it's just a query where we're passing in this path, and we're getting back the headline payload. And here are some other things that we're just pulling back. And that's basically it. So now I'm going to switch over and do the demo. And here is the demo. So we just have our top 20 headlines. We can select it, and that modal pops up with the URL, and we can see it has that loading screen until everything's loaded. Then we have basically the entire page in that small modal. You can select it, and it goes back. So it's all pretty simple. The demo, we have everything kind of styled correctly. And that's basically it. I'm actually looking forward to doing upgrades on this one, so that's nice. Anyways, thanks for listening.